So I'm Carrie, I'm from Penn State. I do dairy foods research and outreach, 70% extension, 30% research. And I'm going to talk a little bit about a project, but I'm going to really encourage you to come down to the poster, which isn't really a poster. I have printed copies of the guides that we just developed so that you guys can take a look at those. They include a guide to implementing food safety systems in small scale and raw milk cheese plants, and a fillable PDF. It is a food safety example plan on raw milk Gouda. The way we got into this was I was teaching the National Conference on Interstate Milk Shippers core curriculum for dairy HACCP about 5 years ago when we had some raw milk cheesemakers in the room. And we said there's no resources out there. There is no kill step in raw milk cheese. One of the two in the room was an Amish processor. So we said, there's this huge gap for small scale people without a lot of resources. Wrote a proposal. It was funded by the Northeast SARE. We did this project in collaboration with 5 raw milk cheesemakers, 2 who were Amish, so that we wanted to make sure that the resources we developed that had basically everything in it that they could use. My graduate student went out and we observed practices we never thought we would see. So sitting in our room and knowing everything we know, we had an Amish cheesemaker that grabbed a piece of cheese like this and carried it from his cheese making room outside through the environment to the aging cooler behind. So what we did in this food safety plan, the original point was going to be a hazard analysis with a guide on how to do a hazard analysis, and we learned there was so much more. So on the hazard analysis, because is it a preventive control or is it a prerequisite program, we have identified ways of, if you have this problem, how do you handle that? So everybody still has to go through it, and you can see that downstairs, and the guide ended up being a guide to implementing a full food safety system. Like, they really needed help with GMPs. So it's a lot of questions for people to think about. How do you handle this? How do you handle this for them to write that? The other thing we did as part of that project is we developed a curriculum for a workshop. It's a 1-day hazard analysis and preventive controls for small scale processors. So it's really not the preventive controls for human food curriculum. I am a lead instructor, I teach that, but it is a 1-day thing that really gets them focused on that because they don't need the full 3-day. They need to understand that, so we give them some tools. It's taught back to back with another program that I've been teaching for probably over 10 years at this point, called Dairy Basics Fundamentals. It's now quality and safety, so there are two 1-days, and I've got the agendas down there, and that's probably my 3 minutes. So come talk to me, I'll show you what I do. One more thing, the other thing I do to kind of help with awareness is, as Luke said, Pennsylvania has lists of processors. He did not get the dairy ones because they were the food, but we have dairy separate. So I have a list of everybody that has a permit in my state, which includes the raw milk bottlers and the Amish. And I send out a traditional printed newsletter by mail.
I hate that extension.
I know, they hate, but the powers that be aren't,
Web-based.
they don't like that, but it gets to my Amish processors and then it's PDF, so they don't like that even more because it's not online. But that's how I kind of handle some of that awareness, and I'll have 2 of my newsletters, which I just realized I got with me. I'll throw those on the table downstairs at the poster session. So that's what I'm doing.
I have a question. Did you hear about the explosion at the cheese plant?
There was debris everywhere.
Yeah.
Because you told me that at least 3 times, I now remember.
I run into her class.
Yes, you went into my class, and everybody kind of looks, and then they're like, oh, I.
Thank you.